Okay. Hi, I'm back, and I want to start this off with the good news I have for you. I will definitely not be dying anytime soon, although a couple of months ago it certainly looked like it. But I have recovered, so I think that I definitely have more than 9 lives. So one of my friends years ago used to call me Kitty Cat, so there you go. Anyway, today I would like to tell you about one of my so-called classmates. Actually, he was 2 classes above us, I think. But anyway, his name was Johann. And Johann had, for some reason, taken a total dislike towards me. He is the kid that knocked my sandwich out of my hand a long time ago, where I practiced what my dad had taught me. He said, if somebody ever gets really mean or nasty with you, or they try to hit you, you take your left fist and you go under the chin, and then you take your right one and you get the nose. And that'll do it. And if that didn't do it, you take your knee and you go up as high as you can, and that'll definitely do it. My mother was terrified that my father told me something like that. However, I did knock out Johann. I didn't need to do my knee, but those 2 fists did it, and that was a fiasco. And from then on, of course, he disliked me even more. So one day when I was down by the river, there was a beautiful beach, and Johann was coming over there with his parents or somebody, and he saw me and he came over because, as usual, I had jewelry on, and my jewelry was something that I had made out of dandelion flowers. I had a necklace and I had a bracelet because that's what I did. So he came over and he said, "Oh my God, you look so disgusting. Hey, come here, look at her. Doesn't she look ridiculous? Look, she's got weeds around her neck. That's just perfect because you're just such a freak." And I used to wonder why he disliked me so much. But, I thought, well, if he doesn't like me, he doesn't like me. So a few days later, he saw me again when I was down by the river. My mother had asked me to go and get dandelion leaves for our salad. So he said, "You're so weird. Now you have a basket and you're picking this stuff. What are you doing?" And I said, "Well, these are dandelions, and we make salads out of the dandelions. I add flowers to it." And he said, "Flowers? You people are really weird. The people don't do that." I said, "Well, we do. I've always done this." And he said, "So you can eat this stuff?" And I said, "Yeah." Well, what happened is this. He didn't ask me when they should be picked. So he thought he would surprise his mother, which was a sweet thought. So he picked, quote, dandelion leaves. Well, what he did, the only way that he could identify the plants was that there was a yellow flower. So he picked those leaves, and his mother apparently got absolutely furious and smacked him. So when he came to school the next day, we could all see that somebody had hit him. And he came over to me and he said, "Look, you are like a little witch. You told me that you could eat that stuff. My mother got furious. See this and this? This is when my mother hit me." I said, "Why would she do that?" And he said, "Because I brought those leaves home and I put them in our salad, and they're as bitter as anything. I thought I was getting poisoned." And I said, "No, they're not." And he said, "Yes, absolutely." And I said, "Oh, okay, wait a minute. Then when did you pick them?" And he said, "Well, what do you mean when?" I went out in the afternoon. I said, "Were you looking for the plants or were you looking for the flowers?" And he said, "Well, how could I identify them if there isn't a flower?" I said, "No, you can't pick them. After the flower blooms, once it starts to set a flower, the leaves get tough and bitter. You have to pick them before they set a flower." And he looked at me and he said, "Well, that's the most ridiculous thing I've ever heard of." How could you pick them before there are flowers? How could you find them? And I said, well, you look, for the leaf. It has a very distinctive design. And he said, no. See, I knew you were some kind of a witch or something. And I just thought, I don't even understand this little boy. What is wrong with him? To me, if I looked at a lawn or an area by the river, I could see where the dandelions were without the flowers because the leaves didn't look like the rest. But I guess to him, this was just totally incongruous. He just couldn't figure this out. And he said, well, there's something really wrong. And my mother said that you people should go back where you came from. We don't really like you people. And I thought, well, okay, that's all right. If he doesn't want to like me, then that's okay. I'll hang out with Angelica and Rosemary because they like me, and not everybody has to like me. Anyway, that next Sunday, Tante Clara, where I was working in the nursery, asked me whether I would like to come over and have lunch with them. And I asked my mother if that was okay, and she said, yeah, sure, why don't you go? So what I did, I went in our garden, and I took strawberries, and I got some gooseberries. I went to the river, and I got all these beautiful leaves from the dandelions, and I made what I called a Ranka special salad from the garden. I wrote a little sign, and I put it in a little bowl, and I took it to Clara, and she was just over the moon. She said, that's the most beautiful salad. And she said, oh, and you put pansies. And I said, yes, the little purple pansies, that's my favorite. And she said, you are really learning a lot. You know which flowers you can eat. And I said, yeah, you and Papa are telling me which ones we can eat. So I thought that I would bring you a salad. And she was just so happy. She said, this is wonderful. I really like that you did that. The only thing that I find is a little bit sad is that nobody I knew back then had cameras. I mean, we certainly didn't. We barely had enough food. We sure didn't have a camera. So I wish that I had photographs, more of Oscar, my fox, and of the salads that I used to fix, and all my beautiful jewelry that I used to make out of the flowers. And before we built our own little cottage, we lived in that what sort of almost more like a shed. And I had that Vilya, the little puppy, very short time. He showed up one day, and then not too long after he was gone again. It's a good thing I remember all of this, but it sure would be fun to have photos. But there were two photos that Lori took a photo of and then put on Facebook. So those two pictures, because a lot of people have asked me, who is that girl? What do you think, who is that girl? That was me. I was almost 14. And in one of the photos, he's taking a strawberry out of my mouth, because I thought that was fun to teach him to do that. He knew all sorts of tricks. And in the other one, I had put milk in my hand. So I should have explained that, but for those of you who wondered who that girl was, my hair had just been cut because I was on a competition swimming team, and my trainer said, look, you've got to cut your hair because you can't go home with that wet hair all the time. You're going to get sick. But that was me. And so that's it. Let me put this down so I can say proper goodbye. Thank you for watching, and I will see you soon. Love you.